Forget everyday problems like traffic or bills. In the world of the elite, a crisis is defined by the wrong shade of white paint on a super yacht or a private jet having slightly slow Wi-Fi over the ocean. Today, we are breaking down 55 rich people complaints that prove the ultra-wealthy are basically an alien species. These are the most absurd, petty, and hilarious grievances ever recorded, showing exactly what happens when you have unlimited money and zero perspective on real life. 1. A real estate tycoon walked into a boutique Swiss watchmaker and threw a massive fit over his brand new $200,000 diamond-encrusted Rolex. His furious, completely unironic complaint was that the custom-embedded diamonds were entirely too brilliant under direct sunlight. He aggressively argued that the excessive sparkling caused temporary blindness on his yacht, making it impossible for him to actually read the time. He demanded the master jeweler somehow dull the multi-million-year-old stones so he would know when cocktail hour started. Imagine suffering because your diamonds are just too perfect. 2. A billionaire socialite filed a scathing complaint against her housekeepers because they were being too efficient. She was furious that they finished cleaning her 10-bedroom mansion before she woke up at noon, meaning she never actually saw them working. She argued that if she was paying thousands of dollars a week, she deserved the visual satisfaction of seeing people laboring around her. She demanded they slow down their pace and intentionally leave one or two rooms slightly dusty just so she could have the pleasure of pointing it out and watching them fix it in person. 3. A prominent socialite in the Hamptons fired her housekeeper on the spot for a truly unforgivable crime. The woman was apparently breathing too heavily while polishing the antique silver in the dining room. According to the furious employer, the rhythmic sound of a human respiratory system was ruining the peaceful feng shui of her morning meditation session. She later posted on a private neighborhood forum warning others not to hire the maid because she lacked proper silent working etiquette. Yes, rich people actually expect their staff to function without oxygen. 4. Real estate agents in Beverly Hills hear it all, but one client took the cake when she called her broker in tears because her new 30,000 square foot mansion was simply too large. She complained bitterly that she woke up in the middle of the night and had to walk past 4 different empty guest rooms just to find a bathroom, completely exhausting herself. Her solution was to demand the builder install a mini toilet suite directly inside her walk-in closet so she would never have to endure that brutal trek again. 5. Personal trainers to the stars are used to wild demands, but this Los Angeles actor crossed a major line. He fired his elite fitness coach and complained to the gym owner because the trainer was actively sweating during their private sessions. The actor argued that seeing another human perspire in his personal fitness studio was incredibly distracting and gross. He genuinely expected the coach to somehow demonstrate intense cardio routines while miraculously maintaining a completely dry and poreless complexion. 6. Living in an exclusive gated community usually means dealing with strict homeowners associations. One billionaire resident filed an aggressive legal injunction against his neighbor because the imported albino peacocks roaming the adjacent estate were squawking too loudly during brunch hours. The complaint detailed how the bird noises completely drowned out the soothing sounds of his custom-built outdoor waterfall. The neighbor was forced to hire an exotic bird whisperer to keep the peacocks completely silent between the hours of 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. 7. Taking time off is a normal human right unless you cook for a tech mogul in Silicon Valley. A billionaire threw a massive tantrum on a phone call with a luxury staffing agency because his private chef had the audacity to request 2 days off for a family funeral. The executive genuinely complained that he would be forced to order high-end takeout like a common peasant, stating he had no idea how to operate the espresso machine in his own kitchen. Do you think you could survive a whole weekend pressing a button on a coffee maker? 8. Pet care for the elite is a wildly cutthroat business. A Beverly Hills socialite submitted a furiously typed letter to her ultra-exclusive doggie daycare because she reviewed the security footage and saw her purebred Afghan hound playing with a mixed-breed rescue dog. She complained that the facility was allowing lower-class animals to negatively influence her dog's refined posture and barking etiquette. She genuinely demanded the daycare enforce a strict caste system where her dog was only allowed to socialize with other expensive show dogs. 9. Luxury fashion brands cater to the most ridiculous requests, but even they were stunned by this furious phone call. A wealthy heiress contacted a famous Italian design house to complain that the custom leather booties she ordered for her Pomeranian scuffed after just one walk in the park. She argued that $3,000 dog shoes should be completely immune to concrete, dirt, and basic physics. The customer service rep had to gently explain that premium leather naturally wears down when a dog drags its tiny feet across a public sidewalk. 10. Buying a penthouse in Miami comes with its own private parking garage, but that was not enough for one particular millionaire. He submitted a massive formal complaint to the building management demanding that anyone driving a car worth less than $100,000 be banned from parking on his floor. His reasoning was that the exhaust fumes from regular, cheap cars had a distinctly poor smell that was seeping into the leather seats of his brand-new Ferrari. He wanted absolute air purity for his exotic car collection. 11. A wealthy family on vacation in Aspen filed an aggressive complaint with their 5-star ski lodge because the fresh powder on the mountain was entirely too crunchy. The father yelled at the concierge, claiming the sound of the snow crushing beneath his custom skis was ruining his mountain zen. He actually demanded the resort deploy their snow machines to cover the entire private slope with a softer, quieter layer of artificial snow before his afternoon run. Would you even know what loud snow sounds like? 12. An eccentric tech investor fired his live and nutritional assistant over a bowl of fruit. His morning grievance? The hand-picked organic blueberries in his breakfast bowl were not perfectly uniform in size and color. He completely lost his mind, screaming that seeing a slightly smaller, lighter blueberry next to a dark one disrupted his highly optimized visual morning routine and caused a spike in his cortisol levels. He literally made the assistant use a digital caliper to measure the replacement berries. 13. A Beverly Hills housewife threatened to sue her luxury landscaping company for a truly unbelievable reason. After paying $50,000 for a custom botanical garden, she was absolutely horrified to discover that the rare blooming flowers were attracting local bees. She angrily called the head botanist, complaining that the buzzing insects were emotionally terrorizing her purebred hairless cat. She demanded they immediately replace every single plant with something beautiful that nature somehow magically ignores. 14. The farm-to-table dining trend is a staple for wealthy foodies, but one venture capitalist completely misunderstood the assignment. He caused a massive scene at an exclusive Napa Valley restaurant, complaining that the chef did not physically bring the live cow to his table for a pre-dinner inspection. He argued that paying $500 for a steak entitled him to personally interview the livestock about its grass-fed diet before the kitchen prepared his meal. Have you ever wanted to interrogate your dinner before eating it? 15. High-end shopping is basically a competitive sport for the ultra-rich. One elite socialite threw a massive screaming fit inside a Parisian boutique because she spotted another woman buying the exact same limited edition handbag she had just purchased. She yelled at the store manager that allowing someone else to own the purse immediately turned it into trashy, mass-produced garbage. She demanded the store confiscate the bag from the other customer or face a massive lawsuit for ruining her exclusive personal brand. 16. Valeting a multi-million-dollar hypercar is stressful enough, but one country club member made it absolute hell. A billionaire completely lost his temper and tried to get a young valet fired just for adjusting the driver's seat of his Bugatti to park it. The owner claimed his ultra-specific, ergonomically perfect lumbar memory was completely destroyed by the minor adjustment. He seriously demanded the club hire a chiropractor to sit in the car and perfectly realign the leather to fit his spine again. Can you imagine caring that much about a car seat? 17. Private school parents are notoriously demanding, but this Manhattan mother took it to another galaxy. She formally petitioned the school board to fire a highly respected science teacher because her son received a B- on a project. Her actual written argument was that her son naturally possesses an A+ aura, and the teacher's toxic low-income energy was artificially depressing his academic performance. She requested the school only hire educators who matched her family's high vibrational tax bracket. 18. Wellness trends for the elite are completely unhinged. A famous influencer stormed out of an exclusive private yoga studio in Los Angeles because she claimed the ambient air felt too thick and recycled. She complained directly to the owner that breathing regular city air was actively polluting her chakras during her downward dog pose. Her totally reasonable demand was that the studio install a hyperbaric oxygen system that only pumped in air imported directly from the Swiss Alps. 19. A Malibu billionaire actually filed a formal grievance with the city council because public beachgoers were ruining his ocean breeze. His exact complaint was that the smell of cheap, mass-produced sunblock drifting up to his infinity pool was causing him severe nausea. He demanded the city establish a strict luxury lotion-only zone within 500 feet of his mansion, or force regular people to wear unscented sunblock. 20. A high society feud broke out in a wealthy Florida enclave over the concept of visual property rights. A finance bro submitted a 60-page complaint to the local harbor master because his neighbor purchased a slightly taller mega yacht. The grievance stated that the new mast of the neighboring boat completely blocked his view of an exclusive offshore lighthouse from his third-floor master bathroom window. He demanded the neighbor either saw off the top of the mast or park in a different zip code. Honestly, how would you even react to a letter like that? 21. A prominent Wall Street banker fired his children's Ivy League-educated private tutor for a completely insane reason. The tutor drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic to work. The banker formally complained to the tutoring agency that having such a cheap, mass-produced vehicle parked in his cobblestone driveway for 2 hours a day was visually depressing and temporarily tanking his neighborhood property value. He demanded they only send educators who drove European luxury cars, so his neighbors would not think he was experiencing financial ruin. Have you ever judged someone based entirely on what they parked in your driveway? 22. Fine dining comes with bizarre rules, but this restaurant meltdown is truly top tier. A tech billionaire verbally destroyed a waiter at a Michelin restaurant because his beluga caviar was served with a silver spoon instead of a traditional mother-of-pearl spoon. He loudly complained to the entire dining room that the metal was actively bruising the delicate fish eggs and making his $5,000 appetizer taste like a dirty pocket coin. He demanded the kitchen staff be retrained on the exact metallurgical properties of luxury appetizers. 23. Luxury resorts are used to catering to every whim, but one guest at an exclusive resort in the Maldives pushed the staff to their breaking point. A wealthy socialite threw a massive tantrum at the concierge desk because the natural white sand on the beach was too hot for her bare feet at 2 in the afternoon. Instead of simply wearing sandals, she filed a formal complaint demanding that the groundskeepers walk ahead of her with watering cans to cool down the entire path to her private cabana. 24. A petty turf war erupted in Malibu when a Hollywood producer sued his equally wealthy neighbor over sunshine. The producer was absolutely furious that the neighbor's newly constructed third-floor balcony cast a slight shadow over the edge of his infinity pool for exactly 12 minutes every single afternoon. He claimed this momentary lapse in direct sunlight severely impacted his tanning schedule and drastically lowered his property value. Lawyers spent months arguing over the precise angle of the sun and the emotional damage caused by temporary shade. 25. Planning a luxury outdoor wedding is stressful, but one billionaire bride took her venue complaints straight to the federal government. She was absolutely furious that commercial airplanes were flying at 30,000 feet above her historic estate. She hired a legal team to petition the Aviation Administration to completely reroute all commercial flight paths away from her zip code for 4 hours. She argued that seeing distant planes in her cinematic drone footage ruined the illusion that she owned the entire sky. Honestly, would you even notice a plane way up in the clouds during a wedding? 26. Buying a brand new Rolls-Royce is a dream for most, but for one particular heir, it was an absolute nightmare. He drove his custom-ordered luxury sedan right back to the dealership the next day and demanded a full refund. His incredibly serious complaint was that the premium leather interior smelled entirely too much like a regular working-class cow. He argued that for $400,000 the seats should smell like rare exotic spices and old money, not an actual farm animal. 27. A paranoid venture capitalist sued his luxury contractor over the construction of his underground survival bunker. The issue was not the reinforced steel walls or the air filtration system. He complained that the emergency shelter did not have a proper climate-controlled wine cellar attached to the panic room. He argued that if society completely collapsed and he was forced to live underground for a year, surviving on canned food without access to properly aged French Bordeaux was a massive violation of his basic human rights. 28. An elite frequent flyer sent a furious legal threat to a major airline over the boarding process. Her massive complaint was that making economy passengers walk through the first-class cabin to get to their seats exposed her to the depressing energy of commercial travel. She demanded the airline install temporary velvet privacy curtains around her seat so she would not accidentally make eye contact with anyone flying in coach. Imagine being so wealthy that simply looking at a normal traveler ruins your entire day. 29. Renting out a museum for a private tour is a known rich person perk, but one celebrity CEO wanted absolute isolation. He complained to the museum board that even though the building was closed to the public, the security guards were looking at the art at the same time he was. He felt that having regular employees visually consuming the exact same masterpiece completely drained the exclusivity from his viewing experience. He seriously asked them to face the blank walls whenever he walked into a new gallery room. 30. Gated communities offer intense privacy, but one homeowner association president took things to a very dark place. She sent a neighborhood-wide memo complaining that the bright blue and brown uniforms of delivery drivers were clashing with the carefully curated earth tones of the neighborhood architecture. She proposed a strict new rule demanding that all package delivery companies issue custom beige uniforms to their drivers before they were allowed past the main security gate. Can you imagine telling a delivery driver they ruin your neighborhood aesthetic? 31. A tech CEO bought a multi-million-dollar abstract painting by a famous deceased artist, only to return it to the gallery a week later in a blind rage. His complaint? The vibrant red and yellow strokes clashed horribly with his new minimalist Italian leather sofa. He actually threatened to sue the gallery unless they legally authorized a local painter to change the original masterpiece to a muted pastel green. Would you ever dare to paint over a piece of art just to match your living room furniture? 32. Throwing a child a birthday party is normal, but one hedge fund manager took it to a completely unhinged level. He hired a cast of actual Broadway performers to sing at his 8-year-old daughter's party. Halfway through the event, he stopped the show and furiously complained to the talent agency. He argued that the professional singers were hitting the high notes entirely too well and actively upstaging his daughter. He demanded the actors intentionally sing off-key so his child would look like the main star. 33. After spending $500,000 to import authentic cobblestones from an 18th-century French village for his driveway, a real estate mogul filed a massive lawsuit against his contractor. He complained bitterly that the antique stones looked entirely too old and weathered. He completely missed the point of buying historical artifacts, demanding the construction crew aggressively sandblast and polish every single rock until they looked like they were manufactured yesterday in a modern factory. 34. Equine therapy is popular among the elite, but one prominent heiress fired her highly expensive horse whisperer after just one session. The grievance she filed was beyond absurd. She claimed the psychic animal communicator informed her that her prized Arabian stallion had the inner spirit of a working-class draft horse. Horrified by the thought of her majestic pet possessing a blue-collar soul, she demanded a full refund and immediately put the majestic animal up for sale. 35. Finding the perfect nanny is tough, but one Manhattan couple created a completely impossible standard. They formally complained to their elite staffing agency and fired a highly qualified caretaker on her second day. Her unforgivable mistake was teaching their 2-year-old toddler how to say the word truck. The parents were furious, stating they only wanted their child exposed to high-value vocabulary words like equity and portfolio. Could you imagine a 2-year-old discussing the stock market instead of playing with toys? 36. Renting a private island in the Bahamas sounds like the ultimate getaway, but not for one miserable banking executive. He stormed into the resort office demanding a 50% refund because he saw a wild iguana walking across his rented beach. He aggressively argued that paying $100,000 a week meant he was buying absolute isolation from all carbon-based life forms. He expected the resort staff to somehow sweep the entire jungle and evict native wildlife before his arrival. 37. A wealthy family spent $70,000 on a private luxury safari in Kenya, only to leave a furiously long 1-star review for the tour company. Their massive complaint? The wild lions were sleeping during their scheduled morning game drive. The father actually yelled at the local guide, demanding he drive the rover closer and honk the horn to wake the animals up so his kids could get a better social media photo. He genuinely felt that paying top dollar meant wild predators should perform on demand like theme park animatronics. 38. Imagine paying $10,000 a night for an exclusive beachfront villa in Bora Bora, only to complain to the front desk that the ocean is simply too loud. A corporate executive marched into the lobby at 2 in the morning, furious that the rhythmic crashing of the waves was keeping him awake. He demanded the resort management send a crew out to the beach to construct a temporary sound barrier to mute the Pacific Ocean. Because obviously the tide should respect his sleep schedule. 39. Penthouse views are heavily protected in New York City, but one billionaire pushed his legal boundaries to the absolute limit. He filed an aggressive petition with the city council complaining that a beautifully restored historic cathedral across the street was ruining the ultra-modern vibe of his apartment. He genuinely offered to pay millions of dollars to have the entire 200-year-old church disassembled and moved to a different borough just so he could have a totally unobstructed view of the skyline. 40. Customizing a luxury yacht is a status symbol, but one tech bro took his nautical complaints too far. He dragged his marine engineers into a furious boardroom meeting because the custom horn on his mega yacht sounded slightly too aggressive. He claimed the loud blast was traumatizing his cryptocurrency investors during cocktail hour. He demanded the engineering team completely rip out the maritime safety equipment and replace it with a speaker system that played a gentle, soothing classical symphony to politely warn other ships to get out of his way. 41. A tech CEO fired his highly organized executive assistant after just 3 days for a completely bizarre, auditory reason. He filed a formal complaint with the staffing agency stating that her natural speaking voice was pitched slightly too high and it was causing micro vibrations in his collection of rare crystal decanters. He genuinely demanded they send a replacement assistant who had been classically trained in vocal fry or baritone speaking so his glassware would remain totally undisturbed. 42. Throwing a multi-million-dollar outdoor charity gala is a massive flex, but one socialite was absolutely terrified of bad weather. She actually filed a grievance with her event planner because the sky was too overcast for golden hour photos. The planner was aggressively ordered to hire a private aviation company to chemically seed the clouds and force them to rain miles away before the event started. Yes, the ultra-rich will literally try to manipulate the Earth's atmosphere just for a good lighting setup. 43. A Beverly Hills power couple threatened a massive lawsuit against their luxury driveway contractor over a completely unhinged canine issue. After paying $200,000 for imported Italian marble paving, they furiously complained that the stone was too reflective and naturally cold. They claimed the surface was confusing their teacup poodle and making its paws chilly during morning walks. Their totally rational solution was demanding the contractor rip it all up and install a state-of-the-art outdoor floor heating system just for the dog. Would you spend thousands just to warm up the outside ground? 44. A wealthy executive actually filed a massive formal complaint against his aviation management company because the Wi-Fi on his private jet was too slow to stream 4K video over the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. He claimed the buffering caused him severe emotional distress and forced him to actually look out the window at the clouds for 20 whole minutes. The absolute horror. He demanded a partial refund of his $70,000 flight just for the inconvenience. Honestly, how long could you survive in a flying luxury tube without high-speed internet? 45. Gated communities in Miami are fiercely competitive. But one crypto billionaire took neighborly disputes to a hilarious new level. He submitted a formal complaint to the Homeowners Association regarding the armed security detail patrolling the estate next door. His issue was not the weapons, but the fashion. He argued that the guards wearing standard black tactical gear looked entirely too middle-class and ruined the elegant vibe of the street. His absolutely serious demand was forcing the neighboring security team to wear tailored Italian tuxedos while on patrol. 46. Chartering a private jet is the ultimate luxury, but one Hollywood actress found a truly absurd reason to demand a refund. She angrily called the aviation management company after a flight to Paris, complaining entirely about the pilot's voice. She stated that his standard Midwestern accent over the intercom totally shattered the glamorous illusion of her European vacation. She requested that the company only assign pilots with deep, soothing British accents to her future flights, essentially treating the flight crew like hired cast members in her own personal movie. 47. Winter sports are a playground for the wealthy, but one tech billionaire was disgusted by the public at an exclusive Swiss ski resort. He filed a formal complaint with the lodge management because the other skiers on the mountain were wearing brightly colored neon snowsuits. He claimed the loud colors were completely ruining the pristine, monochromatic aesthetic of his winter vacation photos. He actually demanded the resort implement a strict neutral color dress code for the entire mountain, so his social media feed would look perfectly curated. Have you ever been offended by someone else wearing a bright yellow jacket? 48. An angry hedge fund manager left a scathing one-star review for a Michelin-starred restaurant in New York City. His grievance was entirely focused on the geometry of the ice in his $200 glass of whiskey. He claimed the artisanal ice sphere had a tiny microscopic chip on the side, completely ruining the aesthetic symmetry of his drink and melting at a slightly uneven rate. He demanded the manager apologize to his clients and comp the entire $1,000 dinner just to make things right. 49. Getting a table at the hottest restaurant in Manhattan is hard enough, but one Wall Street executive threw a massive tantrum over his seating arrangement. He loudly complained to the manager that his corner booth was located exactly 3 feet too close to the kitchen doors. He argued that the subtle rhythmic swinging of the wooden doors was creating a microdraft that was cooling down his $300 Wagyu steak at an unacceptable rate. He demanded the entire restaurant layout be redesigned before his next visit. 50. An ultra-wealthy tech founder hired a private Michelin-starred chef to cook exclusively for his family's 2-week vacation in the Alps. After just one day, he filed a formal, aggressively written grievance with the staffing agency. The absolute horror? The chef was slicing vegetables with a standard, high-end steel knife instead of a custom-forged Damascus blade. The founder claimed the harsh metallic sound of the steel hitting the cutting board disrupted the peaceful frequency of his custom-designed wooden kitchen counters. 51. Imagine spending $90 million on a custom super yacht only to refuse delivery because the hull was painted eggshell instead of ivory. The owner threw an absolute fit at the shipyard, screaming that the color clashed with the reflection of the Mediterranean water at sunset. He forced them to dry dock the massive vessel and repaint the entire thing, delaying his summer vacation to Monaco by 3 weeks. The repainting cost over $2 million. Just out of curiosity, can anyone actually tell the difference between eggshell and ivory without a color chart? 52. Finding rare luxury goods is a full-time job, but one Manhattan heiress fired her elite personal shopper for being entirely too efficient. After demanding a highly exclusive waitlisted designer bag, the shopper magically secured it in just 2 days. Instead of being happy, the heiress threw a massive tantrum, complaining that getting the item so fast completely robbed her of the emotional journey of waiting for it. She passionately argued that instant gratification made the $40,000 purse feel incredibly cheap and accessible. 53. Buying a waterfront mansion in Florida comes with nature. But one finance executive was completely disgusted by the local wildlife. He filed an aggressive legal complaint against his luxury homeowners association because the bullfrogs in the community pond were croaking entirely out of tune. He seriously argued that their random nocturnal noises actively clashed with the smooth jazz he played on his patio. He demanded the board hire a wildlife team to capture and relocate only the frogs with poor vocal range. 54. A notoriously eccentric venture capitalist marched into his private wealth management bank and demanded to speak to the regional director over a simple cash withdrawal. He was absolutely furious that the $50,000 in crisp new bills he requested did not have perfectly sequential serial numbers. He claimed that having random, unorganized numbers in his leather briefcase disrupted the mathematical harmony of his personal vault. He literally made the bankers spend 3 hours digging through the safe to find perfectly matching number sequences. 55. Purchasing a 12th century castle in Scotland is the ultimate real estate flex. But an American tech mogul completely missed the point of historical preservation. He threatened to sue the local Heritage Society because they legally blocked him from drilling massive holes into the ancient stone walls. His incredibly ignorant complaint was that the medieval dining hall lacked convenient wall outlets for his smart home speakers. Could you imagine destroying a 1,000-year-old fortress just to plug in your phone charger? Watching these elite meltdowns makes it clear that once you have everything, you start inventing problems out of thin air. From the shape of ice cubes to the color of a neighbor's car, these people are living in a completely different dimension of pettiness. If you could sentence one of these billionaires to live a regular life with a broken microwave and a noisy neighbor for a month, which one deserves it the most? Let us know in the comments. Hit like and subscribe to see more of this madness.